Hello, everyone, and welcome to December the 2nd, regular Legislative Committee meeting of the town of Vegreville. I call this meeting to order at 3:01. We'll start off with a motion to accept the agenda. Councilor Lemko makes the motion. Is there any additions or deletions to the agenda today? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. Next, we'll need to get a motion for adopting of the minutes of our last regular meeting. Councillor Broadjack makes the motion. Any errors or deletions, or errors or omissions within the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. Okay, so we'll start off with some delegations today, and our first delegation is Jenny Cooper, returning officer for the town of Vegreville. Step right up, Mrs. Cooper.
Okay, so thank you for allowing me to do my presentation and summary of the 2025 elections. Welcome to new council, and thank you to Mayor and Council for once again putting their faith in my ability to conduct the position of returning officer. As you know, I take this position very seriously and follow the procedures of the Alberta Elections Act, Local Authority Elections Act, and I work cooperatively with Municipal Affairs and Elections Alberta. I have studied and reviewed the Local Authorities Elections Act many times because there were so many changes this time. Again, in this election, there were many changes and many firsts, but we succeeded. Training for returning officers. There were 8 modules were offered via recorded webinars with 2 live presentations. Though live training is preferred, one can refer back to the training videos at any time to refresh or verify information as needed. Municipal Affairs required separate training of 3 sessions for the electronic data-based program. So that was quite a learning experience for me, but I had some really great helpers like Leslie. This is a new program and process for this election. There were many changes, including new forms using the permanent electors registrar, electronic input of candidates, eligible electors, results, finalization stats. Replies from Elections Alberta and Municipal Affairs were efficient and timely. Didn't always agree, but we still got answers from them. Permanent electors registrar. This was compiled by Elections Alberta and used for the first time in municipalities. The process for voting was similar to previous years for the elector, but some changes for the poll workers. The town advertised intensely to check voter link via Facebook and the town website. A voter link assistance day was scheduled for electors who have no access to a computer, who are not comfortable using a computer, or who did not understand the process. The intent was to ensure all electors had the opportunity to be registered by verifying they were on the list. We added them to the list or make changes, so upon voting, the process was smooth and easy. This was held September 4th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Centennial Library. We only served 22 electors, of which 3 were from the county. I expected the numbers to be much higher, but I'm pleased this service was offered to the electors. Recruiting poll workers. New to this election, an application for election workers was developed to ease the workload of the town staff who work at the front desk and ensure all applications were received by the returning officer. This was an efficient method, and 20 election workers were hired. Now, some of them were hired, not all of them were hired through this process, but this process still worked really, really well. Radio, Talk of the Town. That was new this year, and I was interviewed by Jeff of 106.25 Radio, and it was a great avenue to get the information out about the election dates, documents required, and general information. 2 segments of this interview were broadcast before the advance polls. 99.9% of electors produced identification and residency verification, so that was really successful. Poll workers. 20 poll workers were hired and training was held October 9th upstairs in the training room at the fire hall. Besides training, necessary documentation was completed and general information given. Thank you to Leslie and Juanita for assisting me with my requests as I compiled the poll workers' packages, including necessary documents to paper clips, everything they required for their workday. Thank you to the fire hall staff for providing coffee for the trainees. This was noted and greatly appreciated. Advance polls. This was held Wednesday, October 15th at the Vegreville Centennial Library Gymnasium from 10 to 8. The onset of the election was somewhat confusing for some electors, as it was a gathering site for a protest walk. So there were a lot of people milling around. Some electors believe the people lined up were there to vote. This issue lasted approximately 30 minutes. I quickly resolved that by just sort of looking at the crowd and asking, are you here to vote or are you here for the protest walk? So I got the people in that way. That issue lasted 30 minutes. The busiest times were from 10 a.m. to 12 noon with 105 electors. The longest wait time was 20 minutes, and this occurred at 3 separate times during the day. Total votes cast were 453. And thank you to Brandon for assisting with setup. Mobile voting. This was held at 6 locations with 92 votes, each mobile team doing 3 sites. A few issues were noted. 3 electors read a candidate's advertisement which listed the locations of the mobile voting sites and believed that they could go vote there. So I apologized profusely and convinced 2 of the electors to come to the social center to vote there. It is really important that candidates be very careful when advertising so as not to create confusion and misunderstanding. One candidate felt the mobile team should also be available at St. Anne's Manor, Lions Golden Villa, or all senior housing units. And that was for a number of different reasons. The Local Election Authorities Act is very specific as to the definition of what residences are eligible for the institutional vote. This is outlined in Section 82A and B of the Local Elections Act. This candidate was given this information, so that worked out good. The process has somewhat changed to make the vote easier for residents with new forms introduced. 10 days before the election, I personally delivered very precise packages and written instructions to the sites with a request to complete a form for the election. 2 of the sites only partially completed their task. My concern is that these electors are the most vulnerable, and so a new approach must be reviewed for the next election to ensure these sites would cooperate and fully understand the importance of the request. Special ballots, referred to as mail-in ballots. 5 people requested mail-in ballots as they would be away for advance and election day. One of these people contacted the MLA's office. So I spent a considerable amount of time on that one. I replied to all by either phone call or email. With the federal election occurring in April and access to mail-in ballots, 2 of these people believed all elections followed the same process. That is an understandable assumption. To clarify, a special ballot must be sanctioned by town council by resolution before nomination day, and this is not a decision made by the returning officer, as one of the people believed. So upon researching, thanks to Leslie, similar sized communities, 11 out of 24 had offered the special ballot. There were equal pros and cons of this system. The request for special ballot for Vegreville would represent approximately 0.118 of the population, with an additional cost from $2,500 to $3,500 to the election budget. The election cost approximately $19,000. Election day ran smoothly with 6 polls. The longest lineup was approximately 10 minutes, and this occurred twice during the day. The poll workers were all very professional, courteous, and accommodating to ensure the elector could vote. There were no issues regarding the use of the permanent electors registrar. Poll workers always also kept a record of of electors whose names appeared on the register but are now deceased. Or some cases, my name was on there twice. So we had to, and I wasn't the only person. I don't know how that happens. So we took care of that and made a list for Leslie, whose group are going to be going into there. Hopefully clean that up. The advanced poll workers and mobile voters teams returned to conduct the count at 8 p.m. The count was completed and workers were able to leave the site at 10:05. Ballot boxes and documentation was returned to the town office about 10:30. 860 votes were cast with a voter turnout of 33%, or a total of 1,399 votes. It was noted by 2 electors that no peace officer was present at the election site. Notification and request was made to the peace officer. And thank you to Holly at the Social Center for all her assistance. Number 10 is your comparison. Maybe you can you guys all have this instead of me reading it, because we did cut it down from 11 polls in 2021, which was COVID, to 6 polls this year. And I think the rest you can, unless you have any questions. Advanced poll workers have 2 workers working it, and each of the mobile teams have 2 workers for a total of 4. The number of workers for advanced and mobile polls were the same as the previous year. I did not include myself or the substitute returning officer in these stats. Recommendations. Recommend to continue to use the poll worker application form. That was really nice to work with. Once again, I would use the radio station for election information, as it's just a great method to have contact with the electors. I would change the advanced poll times from 11 till 7, just because when I looked at, I kept stats of each hour, how many voters, and I think from 7 to 8, there was like maybe 10 people. So I think we can adjust those numbers. I would look at another method to work with mobile sites to ensure tasks are as requested or carried out. I think they just don't understand the importance of that vote. So we'll have to do something different if I'm still around. I would no longer provide food for the poll workers, as there was noted complaint. And all other elections worked, poll workers are expected to bring their own food. And you could easily, the other one is, I would have 5 polls election day. Our 6 polls this year, they had less than 200 each. Those guys can whip them off really fast. So we could save some more funds there. As a returning officer, it's my responsibility to be financially responsible. We used, and not just me, but the town, give you guys credit, we used the old ballot boxes. We used the screens. We used clipboards. We used the signage. We used just about anything that we could use. Did I miss anything, Leslie? I think, yeah. So that was to minimize costs. So that's my report. It was a real pleasure to undertake that again. And thank you all for, do you have any questions?
I'm sure we do.
You do or you don't, Your Worship?
I'm sure we do.
Okay.
So we're going to start with who? Who wants to start? I thought Councillor Lemko may have one.
Yes, thanks for that report, Jenny. Good job. You said your name was on the, you found it twice there? Did you vote for me twice?
That's a secret, I can't tell. That can happen. I wasn't the only one. One is under my given name and one is after the other name that I use. Now everybody knows that's Jenny isn't my given name, so, but that can happen. We had another two other ones that the birthday was out, and that's just simply when they're inputting it. Like it was, instead of November 12th, it was December 11th. Backwards on the birth. That kind of stuff happens. And we had quite a long list that we gave to Leslie with people who have deceased. And some of the people on those, they've been gone for maybe 10 years or more. And it's really hard on the families when they come, they're really upset because they're still on that list. So hopefully that'll make a big difference for the next time.
Okay, so, did you have a question? Go ahead, you can start.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for your detailed report. And it's kind of nice for consistency to be able to compare the two elections that you've moderated for the town. I did have some questions from folks that were looking for evening or weekend access to advance polls. I don't know if you've had any conversation with people that were there that maybe work during the week, work away that couldn't vote, or a way to be able to get around that. I know some municipalities allow them to vote at the town office. But did you have anybody ask about weekends?
Not this election at all. There was none at all. Last election, we had one person ask about a weekend. And you can't do it as you said. You can't have somebody come in on a weekend and vote at the town office. That would be considered special ballot. There's nothing else that would fit for something like that. If you did the special ballot, then you'd send it in. And then this year, one of the issues was there was a strike.
Yeah.
So that complicated things worse. Not for us, but other municipalities. But yeah, you couldn't do it like that, Tanine or Councillor Rudig.
So, on the special ballots, so 0.11 was the percentage that requested a special ballot, and it'd be between $2,500 and $3,500 to accommodate those.
Approx. Because it's a lot of work, and it starts. When does a special ballot start? Do you remember, Leslie or Sandra? It's months before.
So that would just be determined by council. When it comes down to it, the special ballot is based on a resolution of council. So if you were to, for example, pass a resolution of council in June of 2029 to do for special ballot, we could start that process as soon as possible.
And these are a mail-in ballot? So
Yes.
that probably wouldn't have worked with the postal strike.
Well, you could drop it off.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead, the CAO Ling.
The reason why the expense, especially when it comes to mail-in ballots, is that it does not cost a resident anything to vote. So the cost for postage and everything like that is taken on by the municipality.
Okay. So, Jenny, do you have any contact with other people in your position about this trend that we're seeing, like with the voter turnout getting smaller and smaller all the time?
With overall voting,
Yeah, it's,
I don't know. It's really quite sad that in our day people just don't vote. The registration person I had was really good because she gave him the application, then said, "Okay, now you can complain." You have to vote. I don't know. I don't know why. This is lower than COVID,
yes, it's,
and I can't remember what the stats were from the one before. I just want to finish off on the special ballot. I think the confusion for most of the people this year was because it was done in April. It's done for federal, and I think it was done for provincial. And everybody, they don't know the difference between municipalities. Most folks don't. They say, mail-in ballot. So that I understand. And when I looked at numbers, I just took 5% of what our total voting, 4,300 and some. That's how I figured out that number. But with people voting, I don't know. I'm not sure provincially. I didn't look that up. If all the numbers have been down in communities, I'm not sure. But that's something that somebody could do.
so with the numbers down, having these electronic vote counting machines really didn't make a difference, really,
I don't think so.
but for some larger municipalities, yeah. Go ahead, Councillor Rudy.
Just in talking with some of the other people at Alberta Municipalities Conference too, like some of the longest were some of the smaller municipalities that have used the vote counters. So like Airdrie took forever, and Beaumont took forever because they've been using the electric vote counters for quite some time. So I was really impressed to see, obviously we don't have the volume of voters that other places did, but people didn't have to wait as long. Because even speaking with people that lived in Edmonton who wanted to vote, but after waiting for an hour, they left. And so I think that's the challenge too, is that there's conversation about it making it easy for people to vote. Is like we're living in a fast food kind of mentality where people think that they can drive through, vote, and get their coffee and go.
My daughter lives in Red Deer, and it was an hour and 45 minutes. One of the biggest issues in the urban municipalities, I have a friend in Calgary, is nobody wants to work the election. That was the problem in Calgary. For sure, I know that. Like people, we were lucky here, that we had enough people volunteer to work, and we made a few phone calls about, you owe me type of thing. So that's why we had such great poll workers. But I know that in the cities, the issue is they don't have enough workers. End of story. And I don't know what the solution to that is either. I know that the numbers, if you've had a provincial election, a federal election, then municipal, if they're all really close, your numbers are always down. That for sure, I read somewhere with one of the polls, but otherwise, you guys do a really good job, and it's up to the people.
Well, we want to thank you for doing a really
thank
good
you.
job.
It was great.
Yeah.
Well, sort of great. I guess I had my good days and my bad. No, it was wonderful. I had a great team, and I thank you guys because Leslie and Sandra and Juanita were really, really good to me. We worked well together, so thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Okay. Up next, Coordinator McCutcheon.
Thank you. Okay, so I think you guys have the strategic plan in front of you. Okay, so I'm just giving you an update on Prosperity Park, our shallow utilities and the streetlights. This was a budgeted item. Our status is on track. We started this project back last year, October of 2024. Our estimated budget was $1,506,961.08. Cost to date, we are under budget, $1,439,961.95. We did receive a $66,000 credit from ATCO for the streetlight portion. It cost them less to put it up. So the Prosperity streetlights along 51st Avenue have been fully installed and are energized. The streetlights within the park are also installed, but they will remain inactive until construction inside the park begins. Shallow utilities are fully complete within Prosperity Park. ATCO Gas has just completed the CN crossing as of November 20th, and the line has been tied to the existing gas main and is fully energized. As of November 25th, Pacinka Park Road has also been reopened. The next steps for this project is spring cleanup, which will take place once the ground thaws, and then repaving the patches within Pacinka Park. They'll be included in the spring cleanup once everything's thawed up. So that's all I have for that. I did do a little, just a planning and development update, so I can go, do you guys have any questions about the shallows or streetlights?
Okay, so I thought their savings would have been much more than the 66,000.
Yeah.
The way that the contractor of St. Paul was talking and the way ATCO was talking.
Well, the gym corps is who did the shallows within the park. That wasn't where we got the credit from. It was directly from ATCO from the streetlight portion, not the actual shallows. So we didn't really receive a credit from shallows per se. That was for the streetlights.
We agreed to put it off until the spring.
Yep.
And we were told that we would be seeing a savings to the town.
Yep.
Have we followed up on that?
I can. The last time I talked to Travis, it was just about the streetlights.
Even ATCO said that there would be, for the installation of the services, there was.
Yeah, it was like 44,000, I think, of savings there for when we waited from last fall till this spring. Yeah, so I can follow up with that.
Yeah, we can just double back on both those
Yep.
commitments that they made to us, that there was gonna be savings. And if they don't remember the conversation, would be more than welcome to refresh them.
Okay, sounds good.
We'll have the conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
Anybody else have anything on? Go ahead.
So I just have a question. When it says that its expected completion date was October of last year, so is that, I just want to be clear on what our expected start and end date
Sorry,
was.
that was just the start date. The end date is now, like it just finished as of November 20th.
Okay.
So it actually won't be fully completed till the spring cleanup is done.
Okay. Yeah, I just want some clarification, just because I've had a few questions from public that are asking very specific questions about the costs of this project, and whether or not the streetlights were operational. Some of them are very specific questions that I've already directed to admin, but there are a lot of eyes are on this project, so it would be important for us to be as accurate and as complete as we can be, particularly because there's some portions of this project that have taken longer, perhaps outside of our control, because we're working with other parties, like the energy and utility companies have changed some of the deadlines, so we're a little bit behind what we originally would have anticipated, so.
And I think some of that is on us too, where we went from a 3-inch gas line, the service, to a 6-inch, and then the bore through town. Not all on us, that's for sure. I would say a lot of the other was hard to get some answers out of one side of ATCO. I'd say the gas side really was upsetting at times. But they did finish the hookup of the 6-inch line. They did get the crossing agreement with CN done, and it is all in now, and it's energized, and hopefully we'll be able to realize a little bit of more savings out of the comments that were made when we were on hold for a long time. So, anybody else have anything on that project? Okay, let's see what else you're doing down there.
Okay, so as of November 26th, Planning and Development has issued 62 building permits and 118 development permits. Currently, our building permit values are sitting at $12,586,080.24. I don't know if you guys have driven past 75th Street Industrial Park. So EC Storage is now, they finished their project, they're open and renting their storage units out. And then the streetlights, we have energized them within the park. So they have streetlights in there now for that business. Bill Bright Homes, their fourplex on 51st Street is at the lockup stage. They were working on balconies last week. Bill Bright Homes, the apartments on 49th, they also completed their flow and pressure test, which this test provides the necessary data for their engineers to design the fire suppression system for the apartment building, which is a condition on their approved building permit. Planning and Development received a development permit application for a group home on the south side of Vegreville on November 5th. After sending out discretionary letters to residents within 60 meters, we received a few minor questions or concerns, and after thorough review and consideration and in accordance with the town's land use bylaw and the town's discretionary variance assessment tool, Planning and Development has issued a development permit approving a discretionary group home. All residents within 60 meters have received a notice of decision letter. And then with that group home, they bought the house in July, and then they didn't know our process. And it's a company in town that has multiple residents. So then I did up a letter and I sent it to every company in town, every realtor in town, just letting them know of our process when it comes to a group home purchasing a property. So all realtors, WJS valid, they all are aware of how we have to handle the situation. So that letter went out on November 12th to them. And I haven't had really any questions or comments from any of the realtors or any of the companies in town. So, but they're all aware of how we have to handle the situation now. We have also received a development permit application for a newly proposed 36-unit apartment building along 55th Avenue next to the CPC apartments. That construction is set to begin in March of next year, which is exciting.
Very exciting.
Yeah. So another apartment building.
Okay, I'd just like to make a comment on the Bright Built Homes, on their flow test, their pressure test at the site where the apartment building's going. There's a lot of talk in town that the town cannot supply them the water that they need. That is not true. they thought that we should pay for the testing, but we've never done that. With any large builds that have sprinkler systems in it, it's always up to the developer or the project manager to bring in those tests. We can tell them what the pressure is as it leaves the pump, but we can't tell them what the pressure is at the hydrant beside their new construction site. And these pressures are what determines the size of the pipe that goes in under the foundation before the foundation is poured to support their sprinkler system. So it has been done, and they have all the pressures, the testing and the results. Now their engineer can design the sprinkler system for it. So all those comments out there that the town of Vegreville is running out of water or we don't have enough pressure are, again, not true. So just so everybody understands that. Okay, thank you.
No worries, thank you.
Any other questions on coordinator? Go ahead.
Sorry, can you just state again what the value of the development permits and the building permits that have been pulled this year to date?
Sorry, I just have the values of the building permits, and it's $12,586,080.24.
Awesome.
That's for building permits.
And can I, maybe you don't know this, so I'll go to Director Lefebvre. Is that the highest amount that we've ever had in a year?
That's like in the last 10, like the past 10 years in our graph that we have,
Right.
that is the highest that we've been.
Awesome.
And then aside from when we did the renovations when Innotech did the renovations, that was a big year too, with that big upgrade over there. But yes, it is.
That was a nice renovation, so they could lay everybody off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so last year we were about 7 million, and the year before we were 4 million for building permit values. So we're definitely sitting a lot higher.
So hopefully next year we'll realize some of this growth in our tax collection. So this has been a big goal of council, and is to bring in developers and to push these projects forward so we can all these building permits representing $12 million represent a new tax revenue for the town. So, okay, well, no other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Keep on keeping on down there. Next up, Teresa Bernardo, FCSS. Are we changing the nameplate, or are we just gonna let it roll? Okay.
I'll introduce myself.
There you go.
I'm Teresa Bernardo, FCSS Assistant Manager. I'm here today in replacement of Julie Gottslick, who's the FCSS Manager, and I'm here to give our quarterly 4 update. And as far as our strategic plan goes, we are right on track and doing awesome. This quarter has been wonderful to have our team back. We've had 2 people on maternity leave, and I tell you, we are off and running, doing great. So we're on track. Do we have our slideshow at all ready there to go?
I do. It moves pretty quick.
It does. It's not meant that I'm going to speak to every slide. This is just something that we actually do make quarterly. We do make it for our advisory board as well. And this is just a snapshot of what we have going on this quarter. We've done a lot. It's always so hard to give these presentations because we are, it's running very, very fast. But for our staff, we just wanted to say that you'll see that we were dressed up for Halloween. We always do that. But with our staffing has remained the same since 2008. Anything since then has been funded all through our grants. And that's really been our big business plan for FCSS as management, is to source out, find grants that the community needs. It's community identified, and we respond to those needs and bring those in. So right now we are up to 9 staff, but with 4 of those being solely grant funded. We've actually recently applied for a new grant. It's called the Healthy Aging Grant, which is one of those slides flipping past very, very quickly. And it is, would actually, if we're successful in achieving that one, we'll know in 2026. And that one actually would come with another 3 staff, fully grant funded. And that one is actually all designed and will be delivered in partnership with different agencies and organizations in the community as well. So we'll be looking forward to sharing more about that as we hopefully, cross our fingers here back, that we're able to bring that to the community as well. As usual, really, our sustainability is possible through our partnerships. We can't do anything without our partnerships. And even when you look at the Meals on Wheels program, we don't always put it in our presentation or in our slides, but we were just actually chatting about this as an office today, because that's a program that we deliver with the hospital. Of course, they do provide the meals, but then we train and have the volunteers. We also get the Lions Club then funds and supports to make sure the cost of the containers is provided. So that's just one example of all the different facets that go into making a program even possible in the community. We actually recently, too, another initiative under our strat plan was improving self-directed access to services. So if you're familiar with the various help posters that we have in our community, once again, those are all driven by community coming to us. For example, I'll never forget Your Worship coming in contact with Julie and I as we're delivering Meals on Wheels, and you were at one of the seniors' facilities and said, hey, they need a help poster. They need to know how to connect to resources. They're asking questions. And we took that back to, at the time, we had a Vegreville seniors group that then said they too wanted that. So they actually then came up with that help poster with the resources they wanted to know. But we then helped do the administrative component, produce it, and make it available to them. So it's done in partnership. But we have a variety of them. And one of the partnerships that we created was with the Kinsmen and their directory that they have. And in that directory, we have the pink pages. And so really going back a few years here, probably go back about 10 years, we used to produce at FCSS our own directory and print it and put it out. And then we made this partnership with the Kinsmen to have the pink pages. And they just recently told us that 90% of their website hits start on our FCSS help posters page. Because we were thinking about just reducing those pages down to just being a QR code that would then link to the town website, which they are on the town website, but just to reduce the amount of production of the posters that we have. However, she's like, no, they're getting the hits. So that was great to get that feedback once again from community that the need is there for them from their perspective. So that was very helpful. Our nonprofit work, we are really working hard at that. So we recently had our Connect and Learn conference, which is a regional nonprofit conference. Last year it was held in Vegreville. This year it was actually held out in Manville. This is the one that we do in partnership with surrounding FCSSs. So pooling resources, financial resources, staffing resources, making sure the facility and catering is available, as well as guest speakers. This year we had 80 out there, so once again, huge success, considering that is a smaller community and we did have people to have to travel out there. And the common sentiment is they said, when is the next one? They really want to see that. And that's something we're really hearing and feeling from our local nonprofits, is they're really turning to our community development facilitator and asking for, our board is shrinking, or we're having this challenge with our bylaws, those kind of questions, and needing to know where that resource is and helping to connect them maybe to the Alberta Community Development Unit and just supporting them in those initiatives. Let alone the community's really been coming towards us, asking to bring back volunteer coordination. So working with the community and those who are interested, and what role would they play, and that they could partner. If they're wanting that, then how can we make that happen together? So we're looking at that right now. Something to keep in mind is we're getting ready to do our community holiday party. We normally always at this time of year, we get ready to celebrate our community volunteer income tax volunteers, as well as our Meals on Wheels drivers. But this year, once again, we're talking about partnerships and communities coming together. We now actually have Valid, the Vegreville Centennial Library, Vague Min Learning, and Labor Force wanting to pool resources, share facility, share catering costs to celebrate all of their volunteers. So we're gonna have a group celebration for appreciating our volunteers. We'll be sending out some information if you were interested in attending. I also wanted to share for this quarter too, we had previously mentioned about the crisis response roundtable, and I believe Councillor Curtis, you were in attendance and could also speak to that. But I just wanted to say from a town council perspective, helping us value that project being done and allowing FCSS funds to be used to hire a facilitator has proven to be very supportive. We're in the process, we got a little bit of a preliminary summary, and it really has highlighted that there's a gap in intervention services. And we just, on Monday, had a meeting and created a leadership team meeting that was designed by those in attendance requesting that as management coming together to look at some of these trends and issues, even from a high system level, and how can we improve access to services? Because primarily we're just looking towards our response being through RCMP and the hospital. So that intervention, that middle ground is why it's solely being relied on by the RCMP. And so we're working towards that. So we're excited that everybody's willing to meet, coming together, and hopefully we'll be making some progress in that.
Okay, so anybody have any questions up till now?
Yeah.
As we've
Anything
been
that you
flying
see?
through, I've been trying to read that screen
I
as
could-
it's ripping by.
I could tell you so many different things, so.
Anything up, go ahead.
I had heard from some of the newer leaders of other organizations that are really enjoying interagency meetings, as well as people that have been around for a long time, that the change in format has been really appreciated. So I don't know, maybe it's just a new year and a new approach. It's been appreciated by both those that are new and experienced, so.
Yeah, it is definitely a new approach. I think overall our theme right now is really focusing on building relationships and connections. We all know with the pandemic, right, that kind of shifted, just organically moved away, and then we've got more, say, provincial helplines and numbers, like everything's becoming regionalized, becoming automated. And as a result, as agencies, when we're working together, we're more going back to operating in silos, and that's not making things efficient. So when we have, say, a complex case that might be occurring within the community, you know, we've got 5 or 6 different agencies or entities helping that same individual or that same family, and that's just wasted resources, time, money, when if we simply just picked up the phone and spoke to each other, called a case conferencing meeting to make sure what other resources are maybe available and can be accessed, but they're just not locally within our community. Because they become regionalized, we need to find them and pull them in so that they can then provide those services or support. So taking that same concept of relationships, it's not just coming to interagency and sharing what you were doing, it's understanding, like one of them was to go to the food bank and understand what is it like to be a food bank recipient, what the application process, the intake process is, and they did different scenarios and the challenges that they face, because then that helps that other agency to understand when they're going to give a referral, what is involved and what is needed on their end.
Councillor Curtis?
Thank you very much. Thank you, Teresa. 2 things I just wanted to say. As far as your regional meeting goes, we did the first one in Vegreville, I think at the Sunshine Club. And you had it in Manville. Where's the next one going to be at?
That they haven't determined yet.
determined yet?
No, there's actually been discussion, is it going to go to, like say Lamont is part of our group, Viking, is it going to go to one of them within the region? Or is Vegreville more of the hub and keeping it more centralized? But we can let you know, though.
And then just glad to hear you're getting some preliminary results from the crisis meeting. It was awesome to see all the different agencies, people I'd never met, never heard of, little pockets of this and that, the RCMP. So looking forward to hearing the report come out on that and where we can start to fill
Yeah,
those.
we're excited. We're just, it's be great to have that for advocacy on all levels, whether it's FCSS advocating, as well as for
town council to be able to take that forth too.
Okay, I would say that in your next meeting with your nonprofits, and you had 80 people show up in Manville, that's a great turnout. And I know that FCSS has helped me, and I brought it up at every one of these nonprofits about the casino situation, and we have fought hard, and we have now confirmed that there will be a rural casino in Edmonton. So the board has took 3 times, 3 appeals, but the problem we're gonna see, and I hope that you can get this out to all your nonprofits that work within this region, is gonna take more people to work them, and their shrinking volunteer list, that they need to put a pool in communities together so that they all work, they don't have to turn down a shift because one nonprofit doesn't have enough anymore. They need to pool their resources and to take advantage, because that casino is about 1.5 years away from coming online. And we really need, we're talking $30,000 a night, again, over the 3,000 that we were seeing coming out of Camrose. So, in most of the small communities that we're dealing with here in our region, their nonprofits aren't big enough to run a casino night. But if they all come together and they have a pool that they can draw from, and then it might be other communities, it happens all the time. They do this and they just pay based on the payout per person, and that's how they pay these other nonprofits. But we need to be organized. Those nonprofits need to know that this is coming, so.
And I think that's the central theme. That's one example, and that's really exactly what our community development facilitator, and we are doing these nonprofit awareness and education, is really saying we've got to get creative. We've got to get innovative. And how do we merge? How do we pool? How do we even maybe potentially even share volunteers? If one organization's already vetted somebody, you know, could that be then transferred to another organization just to streamline the process, right? So there's, of course, that's a lot of behind the scenes and takes some work and development, but those are the conversations that are happening.
Well, we can't let the city of Edmonton say, "I told you so." So we need this, everybody to be ready, because I have argued with them for quite a few years on this one file here, so. Okay. Go ahead. Oh, sorry. Councilor Jacobs.
I just want to highlight earlier when you mentioned that FCSS identifies needs in the community and then you prioritize finding ways to fill that gap. And the Healthy Aging Grant, Colby and I, or Councillor Warwa and I, had a chance to learn a little bit more about at our FCSS meeting, our first board meeting later last month. This is the beginning of December already. And the Healthy Aging Grant, I'm crossing all my fingers and toes because prior to the election, that was a hot topic while I was out and about. And I know that if we were to receive this is going to be a perfect example of ways that FCSS can fill those gaps that we're experiencing. So, crossing my fingers.
It's responding to need. And even on that Healthy Aging Grant, just for clarification, our FCSS process isn't when these grants do become available, is we then share that this grant is available to the community. And then we actually convene and call a meeting of anybody who would be potentially interested. Then we discuss it, and we're really looking to see if somebody is willing to take that on. If they need support from FCSS, then how can we support them to then put in that grant application? However, in this Healthy Aging one, everybody came to the table and doesn't have the capacity. Some of that is actually due to there is a lot of provincial shifting going on right now. So some of those other agencies who we might have looked to have at least one of, there's 3 streams within that grant. One of those streams just didn't have the capacity. So for now, right now, we've put in the application. However, it's going to be operated and delivered by an advisory group, all of its own as well. So we're going to be tapping in to that expertise and that knowledge from those other agencies.
You call it shifting, we call it downloading.
Okay.
Okay. Just so everybody understands. The province no longer funds it, and municipalities are expected to pick it up. Just for the clarity that we need on this. Okay. Is there any other questions? Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Oh, shoot. Clicked the wrong button. So who's up next? Oh, you're right. I'm almost back. Look at that. Director LaFlave. He's got nothing on here, though. Okay, but we'll get to him and down the other end here. Okay, let's go to, you've got nothing?
I have nothing further to report. We have our budget meeting tomorrow, so been knees deep in those weeds and,
Well, I'll get to that at the director's highlights.
oh, yeah, that's right, not director's highlights yet. Okay, good. But yeah,
CAO Ling.
All right, thank you, Your Worship. One thing I do have is Brownlee has announced their emerging trends date. So it's here in front of you, so we can find out if council would like to attend again, and who would like to attend, so we can get in on the early bird pricing, which we have to do. We usually do that over the Christmas break to make sure that we get the discounted rate.
Okay, well, I don't know if they're gonna even want us there by the time this court case, their water commission's in with them, so.
Well, that may just be you, Your Worship. I think they might welcome the rest of council.
Well, I don't think we'll be their customers much longer. They wouldn't want us if we were not their customers. We'll see. I got a meeting at their office next week. We'll see. If I use the elevator leaving and not the window, things are looking good. Okay, so just give Leslie some feedback. Everybody,
Yeah, if everybody can just take a look at their calendars, and if they would like to attend, please let us know in the next week or so, so we can get in on this special pricing.
okay, everybody understands? Oh, go ahead, Councillor Curtis.
Thank you very much. I do enjoy when you give us like a deadline calendar invite, just so it keeps popping up and remind me. If you could do that, that would be awesome. Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have a bit of a scheduling conflict coming up. We have the Christmas basket delivery at Parkview Manor, I do believe. Yes, I'm pretty sure it is. And also, this is on December the 18th, and also the VegComp High School has asked us to participate in serving lunch, and they'd like us there at 10:45. So I've let them know that we may be able to split up a little bit here. And so Councillor Curtis, you said that you could go to the high school and serve lunch, and you would like to go as well? Okay, that leaves Councillor Lemko, myself, and Brodziak, and Councillor Robber. You're gonna be able to make it to Parkview that morning? Okay. Okay, that'll help. Those people always like to be engaged in conversation, and it's very, and then 1 o'clock, we have another one. Where's that one? It doesn't say where it's, no, the first one's at Parkview.
the first one's at St. Anne's.
Oh, it's St. Anne's, okay. Okay, then anybody that can make it after, because the breakfast, the dinner is at 11, they start serving, so. Okay, so we got what we need there, and you'll get back to, was it Christina? Whatever, I can't remember her name now.
Yeah, Christina Garrett.
Yeah, okay.
You'll RSVP for us? I can do that, yes. Okay, and will you send a calendar invite? I can do that, yes. Excellent, thank you. Thanks for babysitting me. Appreciate that.
Okay, so we got a little bit of a round table here. We're gonna see what the councilors are hearing out there, so we're gonna start with Councillor Lemko.
Thanks, Your Worship. Lots going on. Lots of stuff going on at the Cultural Association. We're applying for a grant for some renovations in the building. And the planning for next year's festival is well underway. Lots of work going on at the Homestead Lodge. We have our applications being put forth for funding for our new build, which is taking up lots of time for our consultant and our project manager, as well as staff on the committee. And other than that, just nose to the grindstone.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Curtis.
Thank you. Not too much from me. I was at the Christmas light up and the very Vegreville Christmas, and lots of good comments about the parade. Roughly 40 minutes or so-ish it went. Wasn't super cold, but people enjoyed that. And then I just had a couple other residents speaking, thanking for the information we'd given about what it's taking to get their budget done, library, et cetera, and the information that they now have when they didn't have it before. So they were thankful for that. And that's all I got.
Thank you. Councillor Riddick.
Well, it's been a busy time. So first off, I want to say thank you to our staff and those that helped organize the Light Up Parade and Very Vegreville Christmas. As a participant in the parade, I feel like the streets were fuller than they often have been, and we've had more, we had good attendance, so it was pretty chilly, but really glad to see that people look forward to this every year. There were new additions to the parade, so thank you very much for all the businesses and volunteers that participate in that. I've had a number of conversations and emails about the library because there continues to be ongoing attention there. And I appreciate that everybody's very aware. We've had some good feedback and some good interaction with the library board as well as the public. But I guess maybe it would be important for me to just remind everybody that the board is receiving a lot of attention, but those are all volunteers. And we talk about having a challenge to get volunteers to participate and be enduring leaders in our community. And I just want to make sure that we're all very respectful of the people that offer their time, their energy, and their gifts to whatever organization it is, because some of those folks have been getting some really negative feedback, which is unnecessary. And so just, again, just a cautionary reminder to everybody to really appreciate the effort that other people do on behalf of others. We did some pricing the other night for the silent auction at the library, and there are some incredibly amazing handmade gifts by some of the volunteer board members, but also from businesses in the local community. So huge thank you to all of those that continue to support the community, like businesses and individuals that have contributed in really meaningful ways. And we've got some more information that we'll share from the library board in the near future from some very generous folks. So really happy to see that highlighted generosity of the community. And one of the things that just working on with VTSS, Vegreville Transportation Services Society, we're going through our bylaws and our rules and all those kind of things. And again, this is just a reminder that something that's been in the community for a long time, people are relying on that service for a long time, and just going through some of those old bylaws, et cetera, take a ton of effort and a ton of time. And not everybody has that skill set. So just as we were working together there, and actually Teresa from FCSS had just mentioned that, I just would encourage anybody that's having challenges working through some of those like logistical details to reach out to the Government of Alberta, because they have community development support. And those folks are incredibly gifted at being able to craft strategic plan, et cetera. And I know that's something that a lot of volunteer agencies are having challenges with. Anyways, VTSS is working on that and trying to modernize and come into the modern era. So that's been fun too.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Brojek.
Thank you, Your Worship. For the last couple of weeks, I've been a little bit up and down health-wise, so missed a few important meetings. I did go to meet the Vegreville Attraction and Retention Committee, and of course, everything continues, the struggle continues for small towns to be able to attract physicians in their communities. So the discussion again continues to what can be done to solve that problem. I don't think it'll be solved overnight, but hopefully that we can recruit some physicians to be able to attract residents to live in smaller communities. I did receive an email that I have not responded to, so from Gayla, if you're listening, I will respond to you regarding your various the subjects that you brought up in your email. So I do appreciate that you took the time to write to this email, and I will definitely respond to it and share with my council members everything that you're concerned with. I also attended the Vegreville Christmas, and yeah, it was encouraging to see all those young children out there. You never really realize how many kids there are in this community, so it was really encouraging to see everyone participate in that. And yeah, today's legislative meeting. I'm looking forward to tomorrow's budget meeting.
Really?
She loves numbers.
I do.
Councillor Jagalik.
Thank you. I too attended the Light Up and Christmas Parade, but I did so with my family. And I just have to say, every year we always attend, and seeing the downtown core lit up like that with so many people buzzing and enjoying themselves and kicking off the holiday season is so great. And I think this year was especially good. Last year it was very, very cold, so maybe that made a difference. But my family and I watched from closer to the library because we knew we were going to head right on in to meet Santa. And last year, I believe Santa came to visit at the arena. A lot of the festivities were at the arena. And I think the location this year was spot on because the number of families that just walked from the downtown core all the way to the library, I was blown away. Everybody had their ski pants on, they were dressed for the weather, and I think everybody appreciated everything being much more central this year. The library itself was packed, also great to see. Santa was a little bit late, but I think that's because he was among the last of the floats, so maybe we could send a letter to Santa for next year asking him to be in one of the earlier floats so he has time to make his way in. Just because there was a bit of a wait. There was a long lineup, and I did in fact see some families leave that couldn't endure the lineup, which was too bad, but those that stayed, I think it was well worth it. Santa was, he was looking good this year compared to last year. His beard was only one color, so that's a plus. So yeah, we really enjoyed ourselves there. I think that was a huge hit. Other than that, I too have received a number of emails primarily around the library, maybe one or two about budget. But I think I've responded to everything, got caught up today on anything that was still requiring my attention, but I think that's all.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Rowawa.
Thank you, Your Worship. I was not at the light up, although I too did hear a lot of great feedback about how it went down. Besides for that, I mean, I think everyone kind of touched on a few things about the library that I think we all pretty much got. And then one thing I really did get a couple questions on, and being a little bit newer to council, I wasn't too sure on, was just ice melt. I had a lot of people complain that about on the first couple of snows that we didn't have too much ice melt on the road and that the roads were a little slick. Specifically, the one road that I heard a couple complaints on were that road behind the shell that goes back to the main drag from the four-way stop. If you know which road I'm talking about, yeah. I had about that one. I did just go for a drive there, and it was a little icy. So I guess my only question I heard from just from people talking was just kind of what's our schedule look like when it comes to ice melt on the road? Like, do we typically, as soon as the snow's removed, or we scrape the road, they go on, or how does it usually go?
We'll ask Director Lefebvre in his round table to address that in what we do and when we do it. Okay? Thank you. Okay, well, the Christmas light up was very good again. It wasn't as cold as it has been, so it was kind of nice. But I would like to thank some members of our community that put in some time here. So Rona, Vegreville, and Vantage Builders, they supplied the hot chocolate at the Rotary Rendezvous Park, and all the proceeds went to the Vegreville Food Bank from them. Adams No Frill sponsored the cookie decoration station, and it was a busy happening spot. the Vegreville Centennial Library had Letters to Santa Station and the utilization of the library and the gym space for the kids and the families to meet there later. A Vegreville Co-op hosted the Coca-Cola holiday truck again, which was a big deal, and one member of one resident in town let me know he wasn't happy. The time that was published was off a bit, but calmed him down a bit and told him the truck was there now, so everything worked out. The Vegreville District Chamber of Commerce, the downtown shopping event, the storefront decorating contest, and again, they kicked off their passports to Christmas at the same time, so it was good. The Vegreville Rotary Interact Club provided volunteers to assist with the cookie decoration stations and the Letters to Santa. That's nice of the Rotary Interact Club to do that. Vegreville Fire Services for pulling the Santa float, and they might even had to put one float out that was on fire too. So it was, yeah, there was a float on fire. Yes.
True story.
Yeah, it was all happened in a hurry, but it was behind the scenes. But yeah, they were in action. The Vegreville RCMP for leading the parade. EPCON, they controlled the Highway 16A intersection for the parade. Of course, the town of Vegreville and our staff and Parks and Rec for accommodating the public swim and skate, Public Works for working the barricades and the road closures for the parade, and any other staff that was involved. It was nice to see our guys out there doing that. Arthur from VM Systems and the advertiser providing the music and the sound system downtown at the Rotary Rendezvous Park. And I got to use the microphone and do a countdown with some local children. I think Councillor Curtis, your daughter's third year in a row, she showed up. She's really good at counting backwards. Yeah, well, she said she didn't want to do it, but I talked her into it. The Vegreville Rotary Club allowing us to use their building at the Rendezvous Park. Debbie Federick, sorry, yeah. Music studio, students played and sang Christmas songs. Telus, we got to thank Telus. I mean, that big candle. And I was only joking when I told people that they put the switch at the top of the tower. It's at the bottom, okay?
How many years have you told that joke?
Yeah, I know, a lot of years. Davin Jagolic Photography Company for taking the pictures with Santa. That was very nice. Santa and the Evergreen Elf, and all the council members for showing up and, that could. And it was fun.
Mm-hmm. It's good.
Okay, so what else have I been hearing about? Oh. Well, you want to butt into my?
Yeah, it was
Okay, go ahead.
just a thank you out to Grinch.
Yeah, he was good.
He was very good in the
Yeah.
parade. He sold some toques and some candy and all that, but it was all in good, and he brought them back. It was nice to see that interaction with the community.
Yeah, he was funny. I've had a couple of emails from a resident regarding the process when he's challenging his assessment. Just so everybody in the community understands that elected officials have nothing to do with that whatsoever. We do not have the information. We have no role to play in challenging your assessment. So hopefully that nobody else will be sending me emails and expecting me to somehow represent the town in something I know nothing about. And lastly, I know a lot of people are watching today to see us comment on our fees and charges bylaw. So we've moved that conversation to tomorrow in our budget meeting. And I know there's a lot of people in particular that are looking for the renting of the gazebos because it's a very big topic out there on some social media sites. So I just want everybody to understand that it was brought back by admin because we've had a lot of requests from public to be able to have the opportunity to rent the gazebos at the Splash Park or at Pasanka Park, Elks Park, for birthday parties, for wedding groups, for all kinds of different events. That's why admin brought it back. I myself personally have asked the admin to take it off, take it out of the fees and the charges bylaw, because I don't want us to do it. It's not that we haven't been requested. There's so many people that want the ability to rent these facilities. I just think it's a no-win situation for the town. That if we're gonna be there making sure that it's clean before we rent it out, the garbages are empty, all this has to take place. And I've seen people try to have birthday parties. Someone else comes and sets under the gazebo. It would never work out. I understand the people asking, if you would like to schedule a birthday party, it would be nice to know that you could use that gazebo to host your birthday party in. But it would be a no-win for our staff whatsoever. So I've asked the men to take the rental rate off the fees and bylaws charges, because I just don't think it's something that we can actually facilitate. And I think that we'll just have to keep going the way it is, first come, first served. And I know that this is not what a lot of people wanted to hear, that they wanted to have the ability to book a time for their party. But it puts us in a bad situation. And again, those volunteer groups, the nonprofits that built those facilities, were very upset that it was on last year's, and were very clear to council that they didn't want the opportunity for anybody to rent it out. And so we'll just have to keep rolling the way it is. If you want to go there at 7 in the morning and try to hold your spot for your birthday party later in the day, that's the way it'll have to be. So anyway, the discussion around the fees and charges bylaw will take place tomorrow in budget meeting. Go ahead, CAO Ling.
Just because it is on the agenda and we didn't do a deletion to the agenda, can I just get a motion to table this to the December 3rd budget meeting?
Councillor Curtis makes the motion. Any comments? All those in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
Next, we're going to move on to director highlights, and we're going to start with Director Saski. Sorry.
Thank you, Your Worship. As I noted earlier, I have been doing budget, so I have no further items to report on right now.
You could have just said, I got nothing.
I got nothing.
Okay, good. Okay, Director Lefebvre.
Oh, now it's my turn. All right, well, I'll move right to Councillor Rawa's question. We have a snow removal and sanding policy that council has approved. The policy is 80% snow removal when we go on weekends, when we do overtime, when we don't go. Sanding is included in that policy, and that is by an assessment by either myself, one of the managers, one of the foremans, one of the lead hands, or senior staff that will decide if the sander goes out outside of normal work hours. Even if it's a normal work day, the sander heads out. The sander has a route that it takes as well. So its priority for sanding is going to be areas like your main streets, your stop signs. Then they break off to areas of main corridors that get to four-way stops, where there'd be 60th Street. If it's on 47th, the bigger areas, catch around the hospital, get those areas. The one you're talking about, that road that's just on the south side of the Shell, is on the list for sure that gets sanded, but it's not at the top of the priority. So when the call come in for that to be sanded, the sander was already out sanding, just hadn't got there yet. It was sanded, from what I understand, I don't know if it was 10 minutes later, an hour later, but it was sanded that day as part of its route, so.
If we could just let the community know too, what is the product that we use?
We use a calcium chloride mixed with a sand base that we put on our roads. If we have an ice storm, something similar to that where it's extremely bad, then we have the ability to add some straight road salt like Alberta Transportation does, or for their highways. What they're using is extremely more powerful blend than what we use. As you know, when you drive down Highway 16A, it's sloppy, wet, down to the pavement, and our roads are not. And that's because the cost to store our product appropriately, say at our landfill, we would need sites, retaining ponds, water collection. We would need a lot if we were gonna, as we say, heat up the sand so it can crack the ice like the highways do. So because we don't have that type of facility for storage and for requirements for Alberta environment, when we have that amount, we have to use a calcium chloride, and then we will add in a little bit of road salt when it's really bad out.
I did hear a lot of complaints about the 16A, about how much sand was down. It really kept the car washes busy. They put a ton down this time.
It was a lot. I drove it too, and it was an awful lot.
Yeah, everybody's, especially black trucks, look terrible.
Here, here. Okay, does that answer your questions, Councilor Rao?
Yes, it does. Thank you. I figured that it was kind of like you said, just it was one of the ones that was lower on the list and maybe hadn't gotten to yet, but I just want to ask the question to make sure I knew for when I am speaking on it, so thank you.
And the policy is available on your council list as well, and if not, I will get it to all of council.
It's there.
Okay, good. The last item I have is the credit we just talked about of $67,000 at Prosperity Park for the shallow installs. That's the total credit. The contractor's amount was $42,900 if he could delay installation till spring, and then ATCO's savings on the street light installation was the $24,000. So you combine those, you get your $67,000 credit.
Uh-huh. My expectations were a little more than that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sure.
well,
But it is what it is. And of course, the last week more has been budget for sure, as we look for options and explore new avenues, we'll say, and get that information up. So I'm also looking forward to tomorrow as well, because it's finally here. We can get on it and get into it, so.
excellent. Any questions for Director Lefebvre? Okay, seeing none, let's move on to CAO Ling.
Well, I don't have much either. It has been pretty much budget-filled couple weeks for administration all the way across. But I do have to, I can report that because of the unexpected fire with one of the floats, the fire apparatuses that were going to follow Santa to close the parade did not get to go. So I got to fulfill a bucket list by driving a fire apparatus in the parade. Unfortunately, it wasn't a fire truck, it was the half-ton, but it was still, it had lights and it had a siren. And I got to use them both, so it was great.
Excellent. Take that one off your bucket list, eh?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, let's see where, the food bank, Councilor Rawa and myself are doing on Friday morning. So we'll meet at 9 o'clock at No Frills.
Sounds good.
Excellent. That same day is the town Christmas party. And what is the theme? I just asking for a friend, Councilor Lemko wanted to know. It is?
It's your favorite.
Good luck. Your bucket list. Two things I can't do.
And then the next up is the pickup at the food bank, for the food bank on the 12th. And everybody, you and, okay, perfect. And then there's the Chamber of Commerce party on the 12th. And then our Christmas baskets, or we always used to call them our orange deliveries. Used to laugh at people. Why you just bring us oranges? Like, well, now we got little chocolates we take too, not just those little oranges. Those oranges are getting smaller though. And then there's another pickup on the 19th at the food bank. And I guess we're gonna be closed, the afternoon of the 24th is what it says here. Okay. Is there any other business of council? I think that's three in a row. I didn't miss anything on there. Okay, well, if that's the case, then I adjourn this meeting at 4:20. Thank you all.